everybody. Today I just wanted to talk about some quick things regarding training. You can see I got a little doodad here on my head. We're going to have some POV action here. All these YouTube channels that I watch, when they start talking about training and practice and all these sorts of things and range drills, they show a lot of really good stuff. But at the same time, one of the things I don't see too many talking about is realistic practice. Practicing for more normalized, realistic situations. It's my personal belief, like I said, just my belief, that around, especially in the United States, most of the folks who carry sidearms generally do so knowing that they're not really going to have to use them, but that it's good to have it in the event that they did. And what that usually translates into is prioritizing comfort over quality, I would say, or no, not necessarily quality, but the ease of use of whatever gear they've got. You know, I watch all these channels out there where these guys are saying, you know, they're walking around with these really slick rigs and, you know, the appendix carry, or they got some really nice strong side outside the waistband holster, all those sorts of things. I've talked about concealed carry a little bit in one of my previous videos on this 1911 right here. If you're carrying around with a pancake inside the waistband holster like I do, or you're using inside the waistband mag pouches like I do, these are not slick speed demon sort of jobs. You're also not going to have to do a tactical reload in a self-defense situation. In a self-defense situation, it's my philosophy that you drop that mag and you get the next one in there as quick as you possibly can. You don't need to hold on to the mag because you're not going into a combat zone where you need to reuse your mag. So that's a gripe I see a lot. It's good to practice those skills, but it's also good every once in a while to come out and have a range day where you are just practicing as dirt cheap, unprepared as possible. And I think that gives you some of the most authentic training that you can possibly get. So today I'm going to be running two guns. I've got my SR 1911 here, and I've got my Ruger SR 22. For the belt check, I've got my Ruger, my Smith & Wesson 360 PD Ultralight. This is the Scandium frame 357 J frame. So that is there. Now, I'm not going to be doing holstering practice or anything today. Today's going to be about just basic drills that I can do without having to have any fancy range equipment or fancy prep or anything like that. Just basic things anyone can do at virtually any shooting ground that they have, or in your backyard if you have the space for it. And that's what today is going to be about. We'll be right back. All right, so the first drill that I'm going to do here is just some up drills. This is just a basic version of snap shooting, the same as you would do with a rifle or carbine or even a shotgun. While it's nice to practice from the holster all the time, sometimes it's good to just be able to acquire and reacquire a target. So let me start off here. Okay. Normally, if you had someone with you, you could have them saying up to give you that little element of surprise. You can also get an IPSC app on your cell phone, which works pretty similarly. So let's try a couple of those. Right, nothing too crazy. Okay, if you want to take it to another level, if you want to take it up to the next level, you can just do one at a time. And that's all there is to it. Another thing that I find we need a lot of is when I look at competitions and defensive shooting, I don't see a lot of folks practicing shooting while moving backwards. In a self-defense situation, are you rushing to your target, or are you trying to get away? That's my question. While it doesn't necessarily always make sense to expose yourself or anything like that, it's a good thing to practice, because typically you're trying to put distance between you and whatever threat you're dealing with. So while it is good to be able to shoot while moving forward, and it's definitely the easiest way to practice, it's also good to be able to just practice going in multiple directions. Now, one of the few YouTubers that I've seen who does this very often is Ryan over at Oragear, who I enjoy. We all run the Cabin Fever Challenge with a bunch of other YouTubers. He does a lot of this when I watch him do his carbine drills on his channel. And I give him props for that, because I don't see a lot of people that are incorporating multiple planes of movement into their training unless it's in more of a military tactical sense. So this is actually a police range. Our local PD comes out and they do their qualifications here in this bay that I'm in. So there's actually a triangle drawn on the ground right now. You can't see it with the snow, but those triangle drills, I'm sure many of you have seen before. So basically you try and move around on a line while you're sending rounds downrange and trying to hit your target. I'm going to see what I can do with that to do this as best as possible. And I'm out of rounds. Let's try this again with a larger format pistol. Okay, picking it back up with the 1911. Okay, that polished off the target pretty good there. The couple that are missing are just off the edge. I'm using a rather small plate here, so it's a little different than you'd expect. Okay, so the next drill that I find not a lot of people are doing is, especially with pistol, shooting from other positions, apart from standing. There's a couple channels that do this, but in the real world, if you're in a defensive situation, you're trying to find cover, you're trying to get behind something, which means you're most likely going to be in a kneeling position. And I think that gets overlooked a lot in pistol shooting because it's not very intuitive. So what I'm going to do here I'm going to get myself behind a barrel. You don't need a barrel to do this. You can do this and just imagine that there's something there. Or if you're at a really fancy range, you can go ahead and do this with whatever they've got. There's a picnic table back behind me where I've got my ammo and loading stuff. You could use that. There's tons and tons of options out there. So, practicing for real-world conditions, you could do snap shooting like so. Okay, nothing too crazy there. You can, normally you'd be way down trying to get underneath something, but you can do a lot of different things. My target's starting to rotate a little bit. Okay, run out of rounds, earn your shot. I do believe in that. I see what's going on. My sights are not elevated properly. There we go. New ammo. So that's another thing you can do. And then the last thing I wanted to show today, we've got those. It's also good to just do some regular drills. You know, you don't have to do anything fancy. One of the big things is getting yourself out there in all conditions. That way you're aware of all conditions. I have been on this triangle a million times practicing shooting on the move. Once you get an unstable surface like snow and ice on it, this just became a million times harder. Another thing that gets really overlooked is a lot of people do a lot of shooting and they wear gloves, but it's always tactical gloves. I have yet to see someone wearing just a regular pair of winter gloves like you'd have on you walking around town, in the supermarket, anything like that. That's a good thing to practice with because you don't know where your gloves are going to get caught on different things. Hey, there's a lot of little crevices and nooks and crannies in any firearm, and wearing gloves makes things a million times harder and about 20 times slower. So let me load up a couple extra mags and we'll do some practice with that. Okay, so I have rather large hands, which means when I buy a pair of gloves, this spot right here, the webbing between the thumb and pointer finger, is always a tight spot for me, which can be a problem on a lot of pistols, especially if you've got something like a Glock where you have a very pronounced area in here that you're trying to get into. It can mess up your handling a little bit, on top of the fact that regular gloves are more loose-fitting than tactical gloves. So it's good to have the practice of just trying this stuff out, knowing how it's going to respond in real life. Okay, how it's going to reload. Okay, is your palm going to get stuck in the mag well? Are you going to get caught in the ejection port on the slide? There's a ton of options. See how much tougher it is? Your recoil management isn't going to be good. Just a matter of putting on a set of gloves has all this effect. Shooting low and left, just below the target. It's also rotated a little bit, which isn't making my life easier. And that's that's part of real life as well. Your target is going to be moving too. So why shouldn't you move with your target? I do have to say, practicing with gloves is my least favorite thing, and I'm I'm a little out of practice in the first place because I've been snowed in for like a month. But you get the idea. We'll load up a couple more mags and we'll polish this off. And when you got a swinging steel target, it's challenging. And let's do some more barrel practice. That sucked. And I have to say, 45 auto, man, does it wump on a target. I'm using hand loads, which are 4.65 grains of IMR target powder behind a 230 grain lead round nose. And they are extremely accurate. The only problem I've got, I haven't calibrated my sights for them yet, so I'm having to hold rather high and to the right. Which, as I've discussed in my previous video, these sights are not set the way that I'd like them to, and I think I'm finally at that point after this range session today where I'm going to see what I can do about swapping out these sights, because I'm not a fan of them. They're fine for close up, but I'm already, you know, what am I at here? This is 10 yards, and it's just not good. Like I said, these sights are set for 5 yards, so we got work to do here. Thanks for tuning in.